Hi, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. This is Gladys the founder of Ignite Within, and I'm excited to be with you once again for the Tuesday morning sip and talk. Sip and talk. So, what we're doing today, and I welcome my guest Keisha Walker, and I'll make sure we get thoroughly introduced in just a few minutes. But most people know that change is constant, and with change, there are signals, both internal and external signals, that are ignored that causes us to have these negative experiences. This sip and talk is helping to provide expertise and guidance on how to use that change and not be destroyed by change while being attuned to those internal and external signals. And that's why I love work today, my guest being Keisha Walker. And I've known Keisha for some years now.
For
So
some
welcome,
years.
Keisha.
Thank you,
Welcome,
Gladys.
Keisha.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. And the work that you're doing is vital. We need to know that we're not in this alone. And so there are many people that I'm sure are benefiting from your prior talks and future talks. So you're doing good work as you always did, though, right? This isn't anything new. I know you from IBM and you were a mentor then. And so for you to be continuing this effort now is no surprise. Makes no
Yeah,
surprise, but it's good work and we thank you.
I really appreciate it. And so today we're going to be talking about how to use change by understanding the essentials of insurance. A lot of people get caught off guard, and this is to help you to not be caught off guard, to understand those signals that I talked about, those signals of change, and being ready for it and being proactive with it to use change and not allow change that comes into our lives to destroy what it is that we have built over the course of us being here on this earth. And so I think it's really a good reflective time for people to really figure out what it is that they want to do. So, can you share a little bit about that transition that you made from corporate and now into your own business and what prompted you, to do that?
Sure. So, as you know, I was with IBM for about 15 or 16 years. IBM was a good company to me. I earned a lot. I traveled with them. I had a good time. And then one day I wasn't having a good time because of the machinations of IBM. You just didn't know if you were coming or going.
Yeah.
And it became really, really hard and difficult to feel good about the work I was doing. One of the reasons I was able to excel is because I felt good about the work that I was doing. And it wasn't always about a dollar. Every single day, there was some crazy change that just didn't make sense. And so for me, it just came down to something, reviewing what I liked. What people fail to realize is when someone passes away, immediately within hours, someone's asking for money and they're asking for thousands of dollars. Through my own personal experience of losing my mother and having to go to the church, which for our community is, a place of refuge, we we had to go there and fall on those people's, on our mercies to ask for help to help bury my mother. I was embarrassed. I was
Mm.
angry. And I mean, it was just unbelievable because 20 years prior, when we had buried my grandmother, there was life insurance. And so I had a personal experience with both those scenarios of having a family member pass away and there was life insurance, and having a family member pass away and there was nothing. And so I went out and I got
Yeah.
licensed and I started, working for a company in 2006, New York Life. Great training program, just really helped me understand the business. And then in 2008, crash came. And, because of the way that New York Life did business, I really didn't have a book of business that I could continue on. So I had to come back to IBM. At that moment, I was okay. I was okay going back to IBM because things were such in disarray, right? And it was just nuts. And I was happy to just have a safe ground. And IBM provided that for me. And I was happy for that. Be true to what makes you happy. Do something that makes you happy. Do something that you're going to put the effort and the time and the training into. Because if you don't, it'll just be another flub, right? Oh, I tried that. That didn't work. Because I tried a few things too. Real estate. And while I love looking at homes, I don't need to sell anybody any homes.
Right.
This life insurance thing, which for me is impacting families directly, right?
It's imperative. I mean, it is a must-have. You
It's, I
said,
mean, it's
you said
hands
essential.
down, hands down, it's an essential. It is almost paying homage to my mother's memory to be able
Mm.
to help other people. And so because of that, it's a place where I've excelled. It's a place where I've been willing to learn and to grow. And that's how I evolved into what we now know as the K.M. Walker Insurance Agency.
I love that, Keisha, that transition and what you're saying about doing something that you love, but you took the time to assess it, right? You sat with yourself long enough to figure out, well, what is it that I really
I
wanted to
did.
do? What was I really happy about? And we run 200 miles an hour, I say it all the time, with these fleeting thoughts, but we
Right.
don't take the time to try to figure ourselves out, right?
And
We,
it
we,
was, and
we,
it was
we
an,
interested in figuring everybody else out, but we
yeah,
don't figure ourselves out and then follow through on that to completion, right?
it's really for me, it took about probably 3 years, right,
Mhm.
before I was really tuning into what do I want to do, what makes me happy, and what where can I really use my skills. And then one day it just happened, and it looked like it happened overnight, but it didn't.
I love that story. And so, what is it? What are some of the objections that you hear when you're talking to people about the essential need of getting insurance? What do people say why they don't want to do it? Have you
There
experienced that?
are, of course, of course. So there are several. One of which, because I work with working class people, and I say to people all the time, keep it, right? Keep that at your job, but understand that once you leave your job, you too are leaving that particular benefit. And for many people, they get stuck in the now. I don't need that
Hmm.
now. But then
Hmm.
I'm meeting people in their current now, but their current now is 40 years after the age group that I'm trying to talk to and now about getting. And so you see the chasm swinging so wide that, people just they don't know what they don't know. And truthfully, they don't even want to believe that there will come a day when you won't have this and you will need that. So that's one of the first ones. The second one would be where people are believing that, oh, my mama got it. If you have a family that is reliant on you, and even if your family isn't so much melded together, maybe, you're, divorced and separated. If someone is relying on you, make sure that you have the insurance. And then I think there's just simply a fear. People don't want to go through the process because they're afraid of needles. They don't want the doctor looking over them, right? There's just the fear of the unknown that are the reasons why people don't move.
Right, right. And, I think that people have a fear of even talking about death.
They do. I was talking to
Death
my
with
niece
their
about
loved
this.
ones. And I just think that, again, I talked in the beginning, and what this program is all about is that change is constant. So we're not even guaranteed that we can even finish this call, this talk.
Nothing is
There's no
guaranteed.
guarantee. We only promise
And yet
moments.
we live as if every day and all days after are guaranteed. And so I try to always leverage my own experiences as to why you have some life insurance, which leads me to talk about, the underwriting factors, which I think is always important to address, because people don't quite understand that they're looking at you holistically. Age is the number one factor. Two is gender and your overall health. So when I ask people and I'll say, tell me, what diseases you have? Oh, I just have a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
Hmm.
The problem is those little bits of things become bigger things. And if you're being treated for it, medicated for it, etc., those are factors. Today, they understand that, listen, people are exposed to high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, right? And as long as they're well maintained with medicine and doctor,
Hmm.
it's not an automatic disqualifier anymore. So those are the kinds of factors that they look at to help determine if you're a good candidate for them.
So, what are some tips that you can give them? Look how to ensure that they have this peace of mind when it comes to ensuring that they're protected and their families are protected.
I say there's something for you. Don't let your fear of the unknown keep you from moving forward to get your family something. So we were talking about, your family and how there are these periods in time when you need to reassess what's going on. Now I have to, protect the life of another. But in a family that's ever growing and ever changing, and then someone says, well, my kids are grown. I don't have the big house anymore. I'm good, but I would like to leave my grandchildren something, right?
Yeah.
So this idea that I get one policy and I'm done, I don't have to do anything anymore, that is also misinformation. So at least have something. You just want to be looking at it regularly as part of your financial wellness to assess where you are today, what you need for tomorrow, and then act now. Those are my 3 tips. Act now. Stop waiting. This idea that, I'm going to take care of that tomorrow. So we need to be prepared, prepare today. So now they don't have to worry about the dying. Now they can get on with the living,
with
right?
the living. And then
Because
what you do, Kisa, is that you actually go out and help them find the right policy, right?
Absolutely. As a
that
broker,
fits their situation. You don't have to go out anymore and search all of these places unless you just want to. Yeah.
As a broker, I have a variety of carriers that I work with. Most customers will fit into one box, but there's always a one-off. And, there are great premiums, great benefits. I have one carrier that offers, scholarships to family members, et cetera. And it really just depends on what the client's needs are, and then we find the right solution with the right carrier.
Well, I just love the tips that you gave and the underlying factors that need to be considered when you're thinking about, number one, your overall lifestyle, right?
Right.
And when you should start taking action, and the earlier the better, but also it's never too late.
Take care of the basics. And as I work with a broader audience of small business owners and business executives, there's something in there for them as well, because they're looking at their next phase of transition and what do I want to do to prepare for the future. So the insurance is really it's a behemoth. It really is. The industry is huge, it's wide, and it's highly regulated. So get with someone who's reputable, who values integrity, and will do the best they can for you, and do their due diligence to make sure that your family is protected in the right way, and that your life looks the way you want it to look.
This moment that I'm speaking, that's it. You're not promised anything else. So enjoy that moment, but also be prepared so that if something were to happen, you can then ensure that those that you leave behind are going to be taken care of.
I'd love to return and talk about accelerated living benefits, because there's so much to life insurance that we are not able to cover in a 30-minute session. But there are, you could also prepare for long-term care. We talked about, the tax advantaged uses of it, for more developed and seasoned professionals. There's so much you can use to prepare yourself for the future, and it's all under the umbrella of a life insurance policy. See, people they think it's one thing, but it is an umbrella, and it has so many different facets and pieces of it that
I definitely will have you back to have that discussion. I think it's just an essential topic to have. And I have a girlfriend that wrote a book called Fear is a Good Thing. And so we talked about fear around this whole insurance industry. But I just want y'all to know, fear is a good thing. If you are having some fears around it, I want you to understand that that's happening for a reason. And maybe that fear is that I'm not protected. My family is not protected.
And let it motivate you.
Fear is a good thing, telling you that you need to now do something about that. Don't just sit on it, but do something about it. So Kisa,
let it motivate
you so much. Yes. Kisa, thank you so much for joining today. Wonderful, wonderful information.
Thank you for having me.
Everybody that is listening, you all need to listen, you need to learn, and then you need to go out and say, how does this apply to me? Do I have insurance coverage today? Do I need some additional knowledge around understanding what the essentials are of insurance? You've got Kisa right here, and she's put her contact information in. I don't see it yet, Kisa, but I'll make sure that this goes through. I'll make sure that it gets into the system for you all, where you can reach out to Kisa and just ask her some questions to get some understanding, to know how should you be going forward in your life. Don't fear it. Fear is good.
Fear is good. Let
Change
it
is
motivate you.
constant. Thank you, Kisa. Love
Thank you.
everybody. Thank you again for joining everybody every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. for the Tuesday morning Sip and Talk with Gladys and our special guest. That again is going to bring you expertise around a myriad of topics. So it's all about you.
All right. Thank
All
you. I
about
appreciate
you.
your having me.
Next time, Kisa, we will
All right.
definitely do that next time. Thank you, everybody.